By the time I was 28 years old, I had racked up $57,000 in student loan debt. I made a commitment that I was going to pay this off, and I did it all in 28 months. What could you do differently in your life? What other opportunities would you have if you didn't have to make any payments on debt each month? Today we're going to talk about how your financial decisions and your financial situation affect your career and life decisions. Our financial lives are so intertwined with our career lives and our personal decisions that when we decide to tackle the financial, it's going to pay dividends in our career lives. So whether it is you want to start a small business or you want to take a job in another field. I know people who want to work in nonprofit, but they can't because they need to continue to earn what they're earning at a job that they don't love to pay off their debts. The importance of this is very crucial as we go through and we are addressing our career lives. So why is it that we don't address this? I will argue first and foremost that most people don't address their finances because they don't think it's possible. If I were to tell you that you could do what I did, that you could pay off all your debt in 28 months, would you do it? So let's just have you imagine that. If you could tomorrow wake up and not have a single payment at the end of the month, would you? And typically when I talk about debt, I'm talking about everything besides your house. So any car payments that you have, student loans, or anything that you owe on credit card. So if you get rid of all of that tomorrow, would you do that? Now, it's also important to keep in mind that if you have money in the bank and you also have debt, a lot of people hold on to the money in the bank because of the emotional security of that. They don't want to take the money in the bank and use that to pay off their debt because they feel that that is their money and that provides them some security. Realistically, if you are $15,000 in debt and you have $15,000 in the bank, your net worth is zero. So it's still really important that you tackle this. And when you get to that 0 point, you realize now I need to do something. It motivates you. If you continue to have this money in the bank, often people have that sense of security and they don't get moving and they don't do anything about their financial situation. So emotions and this idea that is it possible really holds us back from tackling this. Now, let's say you get to the point where you agree. You say, I know that I need to do something about this, but I'm not sure what to do. How should I tackle this? Number one, you want to completely focus on your debt. The way that I did it was I took a break from saving for retirement and I didn't save for my emergency fund. I only worried about my debt. This allowed me to throw all of my energy into paying off all of my debt, and this gave me a lot of motivation to keep going. It's kind of like being on a diet or a new exercise plan and seeing the inches come off. When you see that happen, it continues to provide you that motivation. Now, if you can focus completely on that, the other thing you need to do is you need to get organized. I hesitate to use the word budget because I know for people that's completely a dirty word. But I want to tell you what it did for me. By going through the beginning of the month and making a plan and saying this is the money that I can spend and that I will spend in order to have the rest of the money to pay off my debt, it made me feel a sense of freedom. Before, every time I spent money, I felt a little bit guilty that I should be using that money to pay off debt or be saving it. But when I started budgeting, when I spent money, I knew that was money that was part of my plan, and it made me feel this weird sense of freedom. So it's definitely something that you should try. It's very likely you're going to have a similar experience. There are a lot of other things you can do, but if you can do these two things, you can really get a hold of your debt. If you're serious about getting a hold of your finances, I highly recommend you read a book called The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. This was my best friend as I was paying off my debt, and I think you'll find that it takes the advice I talked about today a lot further and will give you a lot of other great tips on how to pay off your debt. So finally, I want to go back to this idea of how is this going to help you? Well, not only is this going to allow you to make the decisions we talked about, you can finally start that business, you can do anything it is you want to do now that you don't have those payments anymore. Establishing that via focus and organization and achieving that goal with your finances is going to empower you to do more. Personally, after I paid off all that debt, it made me very brave. I started to think about other things I wanted to do. I then went out and started a small business and also completely changed careers. So it really, really empowered me to take on other goals in my life. And also that sense of focus. When you use it to pay off your debt, you can also then take that sense of focus and apply it to other goals in your life. So it really helped me be successful in other areas. And we'll talk about this focus and how to help accomplish goals in future videos. So if you liked this and this is helpful, I highly encourage you to subscribe. Also, I'm talking about some of these books that have helped me. Recently, when I did a speech, I was asked for my book list. If you are interested in a lot of the books and materials that I've used and culminated, I highly encourage you to follow me on Twitter. My handle is Lynn How to Hustle. So I hope to see you next week here on How to Hustle.